Okay, El Hungry Bachelor is ready to make some pasta. Hello everybody, my name is Ricardo and I'm the El Hungry Bachelor, and I've wanted to share some of these recipes that I've been cooking for myself or for friends for many years since I was a young man. You know, with my Italian mom, grandmother, etc. I learned from them many wonderful recipes that are very, very simple, and that's what I want to concentrate on, is super simple stuff. And you know, I have a small repertoire, but in the years that I've lived in Mexico as well, I've learned how to make tamales and some other, you know, chile rellenos, chiles en adobo, etc. So I'm going to post a series of videos showing everybody how to cook this stuff. And I welcome everybody. I hope you like these videos. I hope we do a good job. And I'm going to start the first video by showing everybody how I make egg noodles from scratch. So pasta from scratch. We have some flour. And we have some eggs, hence egg noodles, a little bit of salt, some olive oil, doesn't have to be olive oil, and a little bit of water, and about half a bag of flour. Then we're gonna mix it, and I'm gonna show you this beautiful machine, which is a small investment. $35 US, Canadian or so, no motors, and it has the rollers where you can flatten the pasta and make it as thin or as thick as you want. There's an attachment to make spaghetti and tagliatelle, and or you can leave the sheets full so that you can turn it into a beautiful lasagna, which I will get into in another video, but I make a Venetian pasticcio. And that's one of the recipes I'll talk about. So let's go for it. All right. So we have eggs, we have flour. You know, usually you see people teaching you how to do this little mountain of flour on the table. For practical reasons, I like using a bowl so I don't make a mess. So we have 2 eggs. 1, 2 eggs. And I'm showing off cracking an egg with one hand. So there we have it, 2 eggs. You don't need to mix to crack the eggs or pre-mix the eggs. You can basically put everything together. Little bit of oil, I would say. Maximum 1 shot glass. So maximum 1 shot glass. We'll start with a little bit of water. Not too much, because you don't want the pasta to be too runny. Okay. So here we go. So you start slowly mixing the eggs. We'll add a pinch of salt and try to, you know, I'm going to try to get as much flour wet as possible. You know, if you do this right, your fingers don't have to be super messy. So try to get as much of the flour. It will look impossible. It will look, when you begin, it will look like you fail, but be patient and everything will happen. So right now it doesn't look like much, but I'll show you that in a little bit. Okay, so now there's enough flour left over that my fingers are not going to get all sticky. You start punching it. Punching is good. All right, maybe a little bit more water and a tiny bit more oil. And try to fold it in, right? So what you need to make pasta, any kind of pasta, is you need to find yourself a really nice working flat surface. In this case, in my case, I'm using my table, which I built about 7 years ago now. And I built it big enough to have some friends over. All right, so it's wet enough, but not too messy. Okay, so from this point, this very ugly thing, right, needs to be kneaded. You need to mix all the eggs in there still. So this is why we need a flat surface. So this is where you start kneading, folding. It's not going to take too long. You have to be patient a little bit. Won't take long. You get some flour. Clean your hands so it's not totally messy. Clean hands, of course, helps. So every bit of that flour that's in your hands, you can wipe it off, fold it into your dough. So I have to mention that more mixing and blending of all the ingredients will happen when you start putting this dough through the machine. Fold and knead. And that's it. That's basically it. So it didn't take very long. You have your dough. So a little bit more fresh dough. So now what we want to do is we want to make a long roll, like a sausage basically. Try to make it roughly the same thickness, right? Like this. And then I take my knife and I try to cut it into what will be manageable pieces, right? Try to make it the same size. So roughly, okay, so this ½ kilo of flour will give you enough noodles to make 2 big lasagna trays. So now what I do is I take it over here where the machine is. Now we finished with these, finished with the salt. I'm going to show you this roller in a minute. This is a single piece of wood roller that I've bought here in San Miguel de Allende. And you have to get used to it, but it's a good tool. So now, we take all of this here. Some more flour. Now I'm spreading out on a big table because I have a big table. But you can keep it. You can keep working to a smaller area. Now when you've cut them, you have fresh wet dough in here. So you put some more flour in there. Now try to flatten it a little bit. Now this is already stretchy. See? So now the machine, okay, so the machine is set at the thickest possible, right? And then you can go thinner. These are the flattening rollers. And you start feeding it through. See? You're already on your way to making pasta. Do it a couple of times, right? You might want to fold it and feed it again. So this is all mixing the ingredients together. Okay, so there you go. So in a little bit of flour, there's your first part. Let's do another one, okay? Again, flatten it with your hand, right? Stretch it a little through the roller. You know, if you feel it wet in your hands, just slap it down on the table, put some flour on it. So there you go. So that's an unfolded one and a folded one, right? So we'll do all those. So let's concentrate on a couple now. Let's do 3. Okay, so I'll do another one. It takes a little bit of practice to get used to it. But once the roller grabs the pasta, the dough, I mean, it just goes through very easily. There's some more flour there. All right. With the hand roller, a similar thing. Here's another piece. Stretch it a little. And away you go. Back and forth. You know, turn it. A little bit of flour. Back and forth. And you'd be amazed how thin you can get this. Okay, so here's a roller one, a little bit thinner than what the machine just gave me, right? Thicker. The roller almost did a better job. However, the machine is so practical because now I'm going to go to the next notch and take the piece, put it through again. It's getting longer and longer, right? There you go. So, I'm gonna do these 2. All right, so here we go. So now we go again, couple of notches, let's say. So now it's getting really long, right? It's a little bit wet, but you can use your knife and cut off the ends if you want to be neat and geometric. So here's a piece of dough that is sort of ready to be turned into something. Now it can be lighter, it can be thinner actually, but I'm just going to leave it a little bit thicker. So what can we do with this? We can cut it. Cuts very easy. All you need to do is just roll your knife on it, and there's your pasta. Now I can go thinner to its thinnest. When they get too long, just cut them in half, right? Because now I have this thinner part. See, it's longer and thinner. I'm going to do this one as well. There we go. So now, there it is. You have some pasta. Now, you can keep these sheets to make lasagna. And when I do a video about lasagna, I'm going to show you a secret that saves you so much time. You don't have to pre-boil your lasagna. Because they're so thin, you can put them in your pan raw, make the sauce a little bit juicier, because there's raw pasta that needs to cook. And I'll show you that in another video. But for now, we can take these, right? And I'm just going to roll it very lightly. Okay? And I'm going to cut them. Might be a little bit too wet because I'm doing this in a hurry. But there's your tagliatelle, right? and you have to undo them. Otherwise they might get stuck to each other. Right, maybe a little bit of flour. And you can get maybe a towel or whatever you have, and let them dry, air dry like this. And tomorrow you can have some amazing tagliatelle egg noodles with very simple ingredients: egg, oil, a pinch of salt, some water, and some regular flour. Ciao. This is the first El Hungry Bachelor video. I hope you like it. Take care. Ciao.